We have an intense but somewhat positive full moon in Scorpio coming up on April the 23rd. It's in a relationship to an asteroid called Ops that brings times of happiness after great difficulty, as well as a lovely connection in a mini grand trine to asteroids Vesta and Juno. This can be really good for longer term partnerships or something that you wish to devote yourself to in alliances with another. Juno can rule treaties and agreements, including peace. We'll be talking about how this impacts the world as well as your life. Welcome to the channel. My name is Lori Lothian, and I am using the Western Tropical Zodiac and the whole sign house system, and of course, fixed stars and minor asteroids. If you like that kind of stuff, stick around. I put out up to 30 videos every single month with all signs delineations. This moon video is exciting in some ways because it is looking like it's going to have pivotal turning points on energies that the world is dealing with, including the word war. But in your own life, I want you to think about what might have been difficult and where you've been kind of pulling your hair out since the new moon in Scorpio last November the 13th. Because something was seeded in the Scorpio part of your sky that's coming to a new revelation, revealing, completion, fullness, or understanding. And because of this asteroid ops, it can bring happy endings and deep transformation after a time of challenge. Now we're going to look at the sky together. We're going to be here for no longer than an hour and 15 minutes. If you want to get settled in and get maybe a pen or paper or, hunker down for the note taking. I start all of my videos, by the way, with an overview of world events. That's called mundane astrology. You don't have to stick around for that. I have timestamps and chapters. Click the title of the video and you can jump ahead. Some people are asking me also about Sky Reader, the class that I was teaching in mid-April, but I've had to delay it until next fall. Nonetheless, there is a wait list below, 6 weeks live class with me, just to get early bird discounts, access, and note when the course starts in the fall, likely the very beginning of back to school season. All right, so let's get going and talk about the sky. I'm recording on April the 13th, a Saturday, early for my Patreon community who gets this before you guys, early access, ad-free. If that kind of thing excites you, you might want to join my Patreon community. But in the meantime, I want to talk about a couple of the energies of the sky before I show you the sky and I bring the picture up of what it looks like. This is a particular moon at the 4th degree of Scorpio that when you round it up to 5, you get the Sabian symbol that is quite evocative. And I'm going to read it to you. You cannot make this stuff up. I'm going to share you one of those uncanny coincidences. The Sabian symbol is the Sabian symbol is a massive rocky shore, And why I think that's an interesting Sabian symbol is because on the Scorpio new moon in November last year on the 13th, President Joe Biden met with Xi, the ruler of China, Xi Jinping, and I hope I said that right, but anyway, Xi met with him, XI, and had a summit. And they worked on fentanyl, and they tried to tie up the relationships. And the headline, I think it was from Reuters, is Biden shores up the rocky relationship between China and the United States. And here we have a culminating energy 6 months later that can suggest a reconnection to China, especially in the sky, because we have the asteroid America traveling in the early degrees of Aquarius, which is the rising sign and identity of China. So expect some China stories to emerge, not just in the wake of this lunation, but over the next 6 months. Now, the other prediction I have is Joe Biden stepping down from running for his position as the incumbent president. I don't think that he will make it. I've been saying this for a long time. This is a lunation that suggests he will quit the job or step away. Now, rather than me just tell you this, let me show it to you directly. There is the sun opposite the moon, always as a full moon, and the sun is sitting in Taurus at 4 degrees, and the Sabian symbol is for the 5 degrees of Taurus, you round it up by a degree, is a woman standing at an open grave. In Taurus is about the earth and graves and things you can dig up, and this is a time of war. And so there is an energy that pulls off that sun, as what the moon does is reflect the light, not only of the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that just recently occurred on the 20th, 3 days earlier in the sign of Taurus, that new 14-year cycle that's emerging that we haven't seen since 1941, but also we're seeing the reflection of this light of the sun in the fullness of the moon. And so we could say that there's a reflection of graves and women standing at open graves. Well, we all know where there's a lot of graves lately, including people buried under rubble in the world, but also the idea of what this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is trying to create in its anything is possible energy with that sextile to Mars in Pisces. So I did a whole video on the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction. I've done 3 indeed. Look in my playlist, Big 2024 playlist to watch all 3. The most recent one came out just a few days ago from when you're hearing this, which is probably on a Thursday. So that came out on the Sunday just before this video. So let's talk about the sky by showing you the sky. If you don't see it, you may not be able to grok it. So sky time picture, and I will circle things. And now I've got a simple sky, guys. I kept all the planets in Aries out except for Mars. He's the lunation lord. He owns the territory of Scorpio right down here. I probably should adjust this to an Aries rising for simplicity, but it's set for Virgo, so let's just leave it. So basically, when we look at this story, we have a full moon at 4 degrees and 18 minutes of Scorpio happening on April the 23rd at approximately 4:50 p.m. in Pacific Daily Time. Adjust for your time zone. The actual moment of the full moon isn't as important. It's to go back to November the 13th, 2023, when we had the new moon in Scorpio, when you seeded new things in your Scorpio part of your sky. So for example, for a Virgo rising, as Virgo, this is 3rd house matters. We'll be talking more about that when we get to the all signs portion. The other thing I would point out here is that because of this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that just happened 3 days earlier, opposite the moon, right away across from the moon's reflecting the light of that event, right? It's like that's where that stuff happened, and it's still very intensely activated. So keep that in mind as well. We might see sort of surprising, anything is possible, radical, unexpected things, especially with Mars in a sextile, which is fortunate, unexpected action or lucky timing, okay? Energy between Mars and these guys up here that the moon may outpicture in Scorpio. Now, Scorpio is owned by Mars, not Pluto. In ancient astrology, it is Mars is a domain lord of the sign of Scorpio. It's his domicile, and he can witness it in a flowing whole sign way called a water trine. So when there's a full moon and the lord of that moon, the planetary body that rules it or is the dispositor of it, can witness the actual full moon, it makes it more powerful. But this is also not only does Mars, the god of war, the god of willpower, decisions, action, sports, of course, athletics, soldiers, not only does Mars witness it, but he witnesses it in a flowing and harmonious way from watery Pisces. Mars has been traveling in watery Pisces with Saturn, who's behind him. I didn't put Saturn in here. And there was that Saturn-Mars conjunction back on April 10th, as well as the asteroid Nessus for revenge. Water revenge is a story that we're seeing right now. As the day I'm recording, we've seen Iran grab some kind of Israeli-owned ship in the Strait of Hormuz and tug it back to Iran as revenge or retaliation for the embassy strike by Israel in Damascus. But there will probably be more water revenge coming through the story until Mars finally on April 30th leaves the watery zone of the seas and the shorelines and the waters and moves in a water wars basically, and moves into the sign of his home kingdom, Aries. While Mars in Aries is a warrior, he can also be the noble warrior, and we may begin to see some changes in the war after April 30th in the Middle East, especially as Venus, the goddess of peace, moves into the sign of her home kingdom, Taurus, on the 29th of April, and that lends itself to the noble goddess of peace in a strong place, with the noble god of war in his home kingdom in a strong place. And so if there's any chance for a finalization of the war story, or at least a long-term cessation of hostilities, it will probably happen after April 30th. However, my concern is how in the world are you going to rebuild Gaza? Where are those people going to live in the meantime? With 70% of domiciles and homes uninhabitable, partially or completely destroyed, right? All hospitals destroyed, all universities destroyed, mosques destroyed, churches destroyed, land destroyed, arable land purposely destroyed. So there's a lot going on about when the war ends, the war doesn't end, because then we've got a global problem of 2+ million people unable to find food, shelter, and water still, or at least shelter. So yeah, and medical care and more. I'm sad about all of this, as you might hear in my voice. So one of the things I like about this story, okay, is this particular triangle. And I'm not really annotating, so I should do that to really, really clear. There's the moon, right? There's the Vestal flame of devotion. What will you devote yourself to as a sacred duty? And also kitchens and hearth goddesses. And lots of chefs have a strong Vestal flame. And of course, Juno. Now, Juno is not only about your committed marriage partners. I've seen her operational when I've seen charts of conflict and war, when it comes to making agreements and vows, commitments. So she could operate ostensibly as a peace treaty goddess. When Venus moves into this part of the sky, into Taurus on April the 29th, and begins to flow to the goddess of potential agreements, we can see the beginning of peace, perhaps, and hopefully, in the Middle East conflict. Now, I'm a little concerned about this, and this is the Joe Biden story. Joe Biden has his moon at almost 1 degree of Taurus. This is where the sun is sitting. Don't forget, a woman on an open grave, 3 degrees away from Joe Biden's sun. Moon, sun. So he's having the sun on his moon, and across the way, the moon, the full moon, is opposite his own moon. Well, that's not enough to disturb me. That's just basically a full moon opposite his moon. No big deal, right? Except that we have Pluto and America here. Now, when I talked about the happiness, which we'll get to, I was talking about Ops right here. This is the goddess, the wife of Saturn. So she's thrival, green thumb energy, hope, but also more like after times of great trial and tribulation, a happy ending. So we have a lot of concern about the Pluto part with America, but this, at least for each of us individually, can indicate some successful ending to something that was very difficult. Israel has its ascendant over here in the sign of Libra. I think it's at 21, if I remember correctly, or 22 or 3, but it's there. And this is in a whole sign flow to the Pluto America happy ending, which counts in the ancient world. Okay, so it's not by degree. And the reason I think it's important is because when the asteroid America was in Capricorn, squaring the ascendant of Israel up, not in a good relationship to it, is when the United States started to put down some red lines, some lines in the sand about what is and is not acceptable in the relationship of funding the military supplies to the war in Israel. And that was the beginning of the grumblings of the US administration making noises of non-agreement towards what Israel or Netanyahu was doing. Now that that asteroid has moved and will be moving in a flow state to the nation of Israel, it is possible that there is some happy endings after a time of difficulty in terms of how the relationship becomes more smoothed out. Also, Pluto America is squaring Joe Biden's own moon here. And what also you can say is that Joe Biden has his sun in Scorpio somewhere over here, and he has his Mars about here, about midway through Scorpio. So when you have Joe Biden experiencing sun on his moon opposite Mars and a full moon completion, Mars is a god of ending, cutting, and severing, quitting, in other words. Because the 12th house in Joe Biden's chart is backroom deals and negotiations hidden from the public view, yet the lunation brings to fullness what was hidden, you could make a story that the Democratic Party is asking him to step down and has been trying to work it in the backroom, and secret deals, and maybe even news stories will come out because Mercury, the god of news and all the news is fit to print, will be going direct right on the 23rd of the month, and any secret stories that are hidden from view will now be directly revealed to us as Mercury goes forward in the sign of Aries. And the sign of Aries is the place in Joe Biden's chart, just so you know, because he's a Sagittarius rising, that is about the 5th house. So it can be about entertainment and news. It comes to entertainment venues. But all said and done, it feels to me like if anybody thinks that Joe Biden is going to be allowed to continue to the election finish line when he has tossed the vote because of his Israel policies and lost the young people, lost the Islam vote or the Arab American vote, and that the Democratic Party itself is going to stand for that. You're dreaming. You know, Joe Rogan just predicted that Joe Biden would step down in May or be forced to by the Democratic Party, and maybe that Gavin Newsom would be the new contender because I can't see it being Kamala. And I kind of agree. So what I'd say, I haven't looked at Gavin Newsom's chart, but I will do that really soon because I'm really intrigued by that idea. Because basically Trump is a runaway train. I don't care if it's Trump or Biden. I honestly don't. But he's going to win with Tulsi Gabbard as his running mate most likely, unless something changes, unless Biden has somebody else is running in Biden's place. That's all I'm going to say. And I did another video about this, and you might want to go back and listen, where I predict that Biden may step down because of events in our sky that replicate the same thing that happened in the time that Lyndon Baines Johnson stepped away from the re-election as the incumbent president. And that was the election year that Nixon won in his stead. So he didn't think he was a strong enough candidate from the primaries, and he stepped away. And we're seeing that same energy replay in the sky again. All right, we haven't seen it since that same time in the late 1960s. It has to do with eclipses connected to Chiron and the North Node and Aries solar eclipses. So I've already talked about that in another video. Anything else I want to say? I'm going to focus on the all signs about this little happy triangle. This is so sweet. And where you may have some kind of resolution of challenges in the Aquarius part of your sky after a time of struggle and difficulty. That's the Pluto Ops narrative, okay? Especially if those travails have been true for you since last November, when we had the new moon of November the 13th, 2023. One more thing, Mars here, sitting on his own, flowing to this moon and flowing to the sun, is creating a wedge, and it's not exact by any means, right? It's the energy of a whole sign wedge, and wedges can bring something good from where Mars is sitting. So there may be some world breakthroughs when it comes to hardships with water. Mars hardship, Saturn hardship, Mars water hardship. Well, one of the water hardships is Gazans don't have clean drinking water and they're starving to death and they're dehydrated. Other water hardships can be water battles in the Red Sea, the Strait of Hormuz, things to do with difficulties with floods or water situations, maybe a change of guard, a change of tone coming off of this Scorpio, which is a water sign. Full moon. Anything else I'm picking up here? No, we're going to move forward to the all signs. I'm going to stop the share. Don't forget to like, subscribe. If you're new to my channel, hit the bell for notifications. And I also want to mention that I am going to be putting together a contest to celebrate hitting 60,000 subscribers. I'm going to start running the contest, funny enough, May the 1st. Like, I need time to breathe. And I'm going to put out a series of videos in which you can win prizes, free readings with me. But if you join my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter, then you're going to get special codes for the contest that allow you to be ahead of the crowd, and chances of winning are greater. I'll have contest results just for those subscribers to my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter. So the description box below this video, click the more button, will give you access to everything about me, my website, and how to get onto my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter. But even if you're not subscribed, there will be some of the contests that you can win running through the month of May. So May is free giveaways and a bunch of stuff that I want to celebrate that I hit 60,000 subscribers. It feels like an energetic milestone. I'm in my 60s, right? I'm 62. And so it just feels really great. And my goal, of course, is to try to get that 100,000 plaque by the end of the year and all of that. So, please help me out by giving me a like, a subscribe, and a try. Thanks, guys. Sharing my videos. You know the drill. I have a bunch of regulars who join me on the regular in the live premieres. That's because I do all of my videos that I can attend with you. I'm in the chat. You're asking questions. I'm answering them. We're having a dialogue while we watch the replay. I don't know any other astrologer who do this on the regular. I might miss a couple every month, but I get to almost all of them. Okay. So that's a whole way of connecting with me in a real sort of lifetime vibe. So we're going to start off with Aries, of course. So let's pull up the screen and let's get rolling. And Aries is coming up. Wait, I lost the screen. Can you see it? Hope so. Yay. Let me just do one more thing. I'm going to do it on the fly check that I wasn't checking out for some reason today. I forgot to look and see whether or not there's an important star here. I don't know why my brain didn't think about that. I usually always check for the fixed stars, So I'm looking for some Bohemians on Mars. Nah, I'm looking for Is or no? And then I'm just taking a peek to see if there's any of the really all the really super rare stars, the funky ones that nobody pays attention to on Mars. I didn't mean Mars, on the moon. Ah, Miaplacidus. Okay, so the moon is sitting on the star Miaplacidus, and this is a star that bestows drama, tossed about on rough and stormy seas. The journey is more important than the destination, excitement and intensity. Keeping an even keel is not easy. Well, that kind of goes with that Sabian symbol of the rocky shore, a massive rocky shore, and we have the ship that is being destabilized as it's tossed on the sea. And also, let me make sure there's not a star in the other part of the chart. These really funky all named stars in my software give you some esoteric stars that nobody's ever heard of. Sheraton. Nope, that's the sun. Never mind. Blah, 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 blah. All right. And here's the second star for us today. The fixed star Symra, Symra, Syrma, Syrma, the fixed star Syrma. The star of the maiden, symbolizing the hem of her gown or a trailing robe, can bestow power, refinement of the great lady, and a sense of the dramatic, can reveal the benefits of power dressing, maintain focus and purpose. Oh my God. Now I want to make a new prediction. I'm back. Okay. I'm going to just do a quickie here for you guys. I'm going to do it in such a way that maybe my video editor can grab it for me. All right. On this full moon that's happening on the 23rd of April, 2024, I'm fully expecting Joe Biden in the months that follow, if not even the weeks that follow, to step away as the incumbent president and let someone else step into the running against the other incumbent president for the Republicans. No, that's not going to work. I got to redo it. One more time, okay? Just bear with me, okay? Because I got a video guy and he does a great job and I have to get it clean. On the full moon of October, on the full, 1, 2, 3, on the full moon of April the 23rd in Scorpio, it turns out that it's going to impact Joe Biden's moon and also Joe Biden's Mars across the way in Scorpio and his sun. And this can very well indicate that Joe Biden, in the aftermath of this moon, may fall away from the incumbent job. He may decide to no longer be the candidate running for office in the November election of 2024. And at the same time, there is a star called Syrma that can indicate the power of a woman rising, the great lady. What is the great lady? Is the great lady a female candidate taking Q over for Biden, or is it Gavin Newsom running with a very powerful female? Let's see who the great lady is, as this full moon in Scorpio over the next 6 months looks like it's bringing a female to political power. Okay, guys, that's that. Let's get back to the all signs. That was just for my video editor. Oh my God. He pulls stuff just from my stuff and makes shorts out of them. And he's a young guy, 22, in Bulgaria. And I love his energy. He's really good at finding stuff for me, but sometimes I try to give him something. All right, let's go into the all signs portion. We're starting, of course, as we always do, with Aries. This will take us no longer than 45 minutes to get through. That's because I have a client in 45 minutes. All right, a lot of you want to see me for readings. Unfortunately, now even my priority time on Mondays is fully booked through. I will open up new spots in the fall. So get on my wait list in my description box. It does not mean you're on a wait list like I call you up. It means that you get an email saying the spots are open, and then you have to rush to get them before they fill, which is usually within 12 to 48 hours. Well, last time it was within 24 hours. I can't do it any other way. It's like a lottery. All right. Oh my gosh. Sorry, the software is glitching. It's not me. It's Mercury retrograde, right? I'm recording on Mercury retrograde. Ah, that's me sighing. Let's start off with you guys. On April 23rd, we have a moon taking cue from November the 13th, new moon in Scorpio, a full completion, a full realization or discovery of something in the Scorpio part of your sky. What is the Scorpio part of your sky? Your house of chunky money. The moon is actually not there. The moon has moved over. Let's just do it this way. Trust me, it's on the 23rd, though. And this moon at 4 degrees of Scorpio is indicating that you might come into some kind of business partnership or agreements or new leases. This can very much look like the opportunity to buy or sell a home, to come into a new lease agreement of some kind, to actually get a pet over the next 6 months. Fullness, full fruition. You planted seeds for this perhaps back in November, and now you're coming to a fullness around it. Have you been having a hard, or you could get some new work situations revolving around your home and work agreements, including contracts for work. Have you been having a hard time, however, since last November, perhaps, or even more recently, with things to do with your house of groups of belonging, social groups and friends, as well as the way you create the greater career gains in your life? If that's felt a little bit like it's been a difficult place for you, now you have happiness after times of difficulty, especially as it comes to the connection to the earnings and the money aspect of the chart. So I think as an Aries sun and moon, I just tell you I had to incorporate so I didn't have to pay the government 50% of my earnings. And that is me coming to a happy ending after a time of financial difficulty. And so where have you had some financial challenges relevant to your career, Aries? And you're going to see in the wake of this full moon, new beginnings and happy endings, resolutions of those challenges. Mars in the 12th house, ruling this lunation, flowing to it, says also it's wonderful for psychological, emotional shifts, especially getting rid of self-undoing sabotage and addictions, especially because we have the sun in the house of things you put in your mouth. Now we're moving to Taurus. Hey, Taurus, sun, moon, rising sign. Yep, we're really doing you, I promise. This is Taurus, guys. You always look to this side of the box for the sign that we're on. Okay, there's the bull's horns. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. Okay, so basically, go back to last November 13th. You had a new moon in Scorpio. This is your marriage house, significant others, clients, audience, marketplace, and business partners, and legal contracts and agreements. So we see you had a new seed planted there last November. You're trying something on for size, a new beginning. Now it's coming to completion, fullness, fruition, but perhaps even illumination, where you can see something about your partner or these relationships in a more clear light. Because Mars is supporting this from the 11th house, you may have allies and benefactors, friends, people who wish to help you have more clarity in the way you perceive or deal with your significant long-term partnership if you have one, or the way you reach out to your clients and audience and marketplace, if that's something that you do. You can see that you will be looking at this Juno partnership agreements in the house of romantic love. Certainly that can be very positive about agreements, romantic and sexual partnership agreements playing out that are very beneficial to you over the next 6 months. At the same time, the Vestal flame here is suggesting you also want to tend a sacred flame of devotion and earnestness towards something that you're doing in the 3rd house. It could be education, travel, a sibling relationship, things that connect you to local environment, shops, and the daily things that you do in your daily everyday life. That short distance travel can be any kind of travel that's not too far away. So this is a place where you're looking at a lot of commitment and dedication, a flame of devotion, but agreements with those 5th house people. Some of you may have agreements with your children that have to do with environments of travel or educational agreements. If you're an entrepreneur and you use the online world, you'll be more devoted to your online social media 3rd house matters. Well, at the same time, you'll be looking at maybe partnering up with others in your entrepreneurial endeavors in order to be better suited for success. If you've had career and reputation difficulties since last November, happy endings after time of difficulties as you become more lucky, more bounteous, more prosperous, more exciting, more free, and more anything is possible, Jupiter, Uranus. And this energy is going to help you rise to happy endings in your career and reputation space over the course of the next 6 months. Yes, I talk fast. I'd like to talk fast. It's how I talk. Auctioneer. Mercury in Aries. With the sun and moon. All right, Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign. This is you having a full moon taking cue from the new moon that happened last November 13th. New seeds were planted, new beginnings in the Scorpio part of your sky. That is your sixth house. What is your sixth house about? It's your work, your health matters, your pets, rental and tenancy agreements, the workaday workplace, office space vibe, job. And did you have any new beginnings there or plant new seeds about the way you were doing those things? And Mars witnessing this in a flow from the 10th house is saying, we're going to glow you up in the next 6 months over work and career stuff as you cut away all that you don't want, as you excise and end or sever certain work situations that may not be true for you and find a newfound passion and authentic soul energy around what you want to do, Mars and Pisces, as it applies to also a fullness and a deep illumination of the daily work itself and the way the work is constructed, how you do the work you do. Are you working for home? The moon represents home. You might want to look at the idea here that you could create some kind of contract. This can very much look like a contract to do with the word property and home and rentals, agreements, contracts, and vows that are going to unfold new versions of the ones you planted in November, as well as a devotional energy towards your income making, possessions, and earnings. You're really working hard. The Vestal flame is in the temple of the moon and therefore must honor what the moon wants. So the moon can sign up for a pet, a rental agreement. Moon can sign up for a home office environment based on this chart. As well, you're coming into a time in the next 6 months where you're going to feel a relief from a time of great difficulty as Ops begins to bless you in your ninth house. And that ninth house blessing matters because this blessing is in a completely intense square to that moon and sun. So this is a pivotal turning point. Have you been finding yourself challenged regarding your ninth house of faith, religious and spiritual belief, a foreign land travel, third marriage type relationships, things to do with academics or book publishing endeavors, especially with the sun ruling the house of writing. Some of you may be looking at a turning point around books and writing projects, for example. All said and done, the ninth house is all about the flow to the ascendant, and therefore it's going to put you in a much better mood over the next 6 months as you feel more in alignment with your truer purpose. And it allows you to also perhaps get out of addiction, self-undoing bad habits and patterns and self-sabotage so you can be more healthy and also better aligned with your true work. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign. What happens is a full moon reminds you of new beginnings last November, and now they're full and fruiting into a fullness or a completion or illumination. How can you see more clearly what you need to see, Cancer, about your children, about your romantic and sexual life, about your creativity and entrepreneurial businesses? If you want to look at the moon here in the house of children and you are single, I mean, you're young enough to have children, this could fruit into babies, basically full moon, like revealing that you're pregnant or your partner is pregnant. Now, when I see this in a flow to Mars, the Lord of the lunation, whatever's going on here can also bring grandchildren. Ninth house is that, or opportunities educationally for your children that are quite delightful over the next 6 months. And it may not even be about you, but one of your children getting into their favorite university or their highest goal, college or school. This moon is flowing to Juno and flowing to the Vestal flame in the temple of the moon. Well, for one thing, that you want to be more sacredly devoted to stuff in your life. You want to tend a sacred flame to yourself. Devote yourself to you. Spend a little time loving you up, being tenderly devoted to yourself. And really, the hearth fire could be just tending to your body as well. And as you're doing that, you get this like flow to this moon in the house of joy. What brings you joy? What brings you actual fun and fulfillment? And that might nurture you physically and tend the flame of your wellness and your body as you find fullness of illumination and what brings you inspiration, enthusiasm, fun and joy and play and pleasure. Juno is what agreements do you need to make around travel, siblings, neighborhoods, neighbors? Okay. contractual agreements. You will do those in a positive way, again, bringing more joy and enjoyment to your reality. My sister Nancy is a Cancer rising, and we're going to have a girls' summer together with my other sister. Honestly, Juno, commitments to travel with siblings and bring some fun and joy into her life, for example, right? So there you go. What else? Where has it been difficult with the shared money with your spouse, or your inheritances, or your savings, or 401k, your investments? Where has that felt like a challenge, maybe since last November, or even since Pluto got here, by the way, at the beginning of this year? That's about to break free, and now you're going to have some happy endings after times of difficulties, even when it comes to taxes. Something good is trying to happen, and you'll feel the shift over the next 6 months. And if you have any money challenges with a child, an adult child in particular, because this is the moon full in the house of children with illumination, and this is money that you would share with others, including your children, there may be a turning point in that narrative as well. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. A full moon seated last November in your fourth house is now full. It's what is it about your home life? You probably want to find a new nest with a full moon here. That could be it, because this full moon is in a square to Pluto. And that makes me think of you want to have a transformation of home. So some of you may be looking as a Leo sun, moon, and rising about some things that are difficult in and from the home that you want to come to a fulfillment or a fruition of, illumination, in a transformative Plutonian way. But let's go to Mars. Mars is saying, hey, flow to the moon from your 8th house of chunky money. Is this going to be an idea that you may decide to take action in the 6 months that follow to buy or sell a property, basically? Now, the other thing I'd say is that you could definitely, with this, flow to the sacred flame of devotion in the 12th house, come into a real realization, illumination about your childhood and your ancestral line and your family of origin and your past lives. All of that stuff is going to be very open for you over the next 6 months. And it's very spiritual transit energy, especially with Mars here. It forms a temporary, like loosey-goosey moksha trine. So a lot of spiritual illumination for you, especially if you dig under the surface of your childhood, to open up new doors of understanding. With this Juno in the 2nd house, this is very practical. This is a money house, and this is what kind of contractual agreements, it could even be a new job with all of this up here, are going to inform how you experience your domestic and private life. Some of you will get a new job. That new job may move you from home. So, or have you buy or sell a new home. Some of you coming off of this moon flowing to Juno in the 2nd house, she's also Moneta, the goddess of money. And it looks like you guys may be coming into some money somehow that allows you to do something new in and from your home, basically. Yeah, going with that one. You're so lucky right now in your career. So there you go. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. Well, we have a November last year, new moon in Scorpio. This becomes a full moon completion or fulfillment of something that began last November 13th in Scorpio, which happens to be for you, the house of your younger siblings in general, aunts, uncles, cousins, neighbors, childhood friends from high school and, elementary school. Your daily life, short distance travel, commuting, for example, and skills-based education. What a lot of stuff, right? It's your daily, everyday life and the people you encounter in the local environs, So there's a fullness here from new seeds you planted last year. Some of you may have developed new connections to local people, new friends in the local neighborhood or the local travels, for example. Some of you also may have been planning or plotting this idea of trips or travel or new directions in your education since last November. Now something's being illuminated. It's coming to fullness for your inspection here. One thing I would say is this is the online world and the moon is in her joy, and this could bring you great success in your virtual neighborhood online world environment if that's something you do as a Virgo. Also fullness when it comes to seeing a fortune teller or a diviner or a scryer. Those are all possible in the next 6 months. What I do like is that Mars is flowing from the house of legal contracts, vows, and your significant other. And this can indicate a really lovely energy of agreement with a significant other about an illumination in the third house. Now, that can be a change of neighborhood. Some of you may change or move your neighborhood in the next 6 months because you're homing in a new hood, right? New neighborhood. And in agreement with the contract can be the new lease, but it can also be your partner in love and relationship if you have one. If you've been having any kinds of difficulties, no, let's go there. Health difficulties since last November, or difficulties in the work environment, or with pets, or rental situations, those are about to turn around. Ops, happy endings are coming with great transformation in the natal sixth house of those things in the 6 months that follow. The moon in the third house. Also, you might notice that you have a beautiful mini trine that's activated. You can't see it now because I moved the chart forward. Maybe I can get it back by moving back a day. Let's try. So see if I can make it visible for you. The moon moves so quickly, it's hard to keep it cued, right? Did I go back? That's better. So there's this trine of the moon flowing to the Vestal flame in the temple of the moon, right? In the moon's home. So what do you need to devote yourself to amongst your friendship circles? Which friends are your friends? Do you need to devote yourself to your career gains, your salary, making money? Some of this is going to be a devotional energy, hard, perseverant, but sacred duty. Also, you might find that you wish to kindle a new fire of wishes and hopes and dreams for your life. And the next 6 months is where you're wishing bigger, dreaming bigger, but also kindling a flame in the house of your social groups of belonging or in connection with an elder sibling. This is you. You are Juno. You're looking at their life through, should I stay or should I go in relationships? What do I want to do when it comes to agreements and partnerships and vows of commitment? Now, this is kind of nice because this energy says that this moon is opening up doors of positivity towards this aspect of how you're perceiving your reality. And this could be a turning point for some of you in a significant long-term love story. Because you were having a Saturn transit through here. It's not been easy since last March and will not be easy through to the end of early 2026, but this could be a nice 6-month window of time in that kind of relationship. Juno can be the goddess of coinage, moneta, and you may be looking at some improvement in your finances, but you're in charge of it coming true, and it may look like a new position in work and a new neighborhood, especially with Pluto in the workhouse, a fullness of work, a new place of work for you, that you're actually quite enjoying the social environment in, but also increasing your wealth. A bit bigger paycheck, maybe. Ah, no, don't do that. Software, come back. Sorry, it's moving without me, so hands off while I let it digest. Rest and digest. Rest and digest. Guys, I got to get done in time. Got my clients. How much time do I have? I'm going 25 minutes. Okay. All right. We're going to do Libra. Okay, so I'm going to take a pause and I'm going to move it back, get a little chocolate. We're going to do Libra. Stay tuned. Hit that like button. Subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. You know the drill. Am I in Libra land? Yes, I am. Libra, sun, moon, and rising. So the second house is this full moon, and it's happening coming up here on April the 23rd. But you also had a new moon here last November 13th. So what new seeds did you plant? What new beginnings were you inciting regarding your earnings and your possessions and your self-worth and self-value, your face and your food style? Basically, mostly it's about the financial front for you, right? The money house, the actual money you get in life to survive, or assets and resources that help you survive, and including savings. So you might be looking at this in some ways, just because I want to draw your attention to Mars as work money, right? Mars is flowing to the moon and saying it's about work money or paying off debts or something like that. So it's really a lot of focus on the ability to eliminate or pay off debt over the next 6 months, or to maybe get some new financial flow through a new position in work. When we add to that, that this is also in a flow the moon to the Vestal flame in the career space, it obviously looks to me like you may be devoted or dedicated to some new career opportunity that comes your way that also allows for some greater financial fulfillment. With Mars here, you could quit a job in order to find one that you're more dedicated or devoted to in the next 6 months, or the job quits you, or someone in the job place quits and you get to go into more power and wealth because of that. Because you also can say that this is a moon reflecting eighth house matters, especially Jupiter, you may come into some chunky money that allows you to have more excitement and maybe quit that job that you don't like. So chunky money can include inheritances, but other things as well, tax rebate, money from, a win or something like that that comes in a chunk. If you've been feeling like you've been having difficulty, well, let me go to Juno first. You may also make partnerships and agreements professionally that connect to far off foreign lands, international companies, and international shores. Okay. Now, when we go away from that story and we move over to Pluto and Ops, transformation and regeneration and rebirth and happy endings after times of great difficulty in the romance and sexual part of your chart. So if you've been missing that part of your life, or it has been challenging for you, there could be a transformative shift here where now you're able to experience that positively or in a new way or with a new person. And if you've been finding joylessness in your life, and this can be the return of joy. And if you want to be creative or entrepreneurial and that's felt really hard, suddenly there's some happy transformative energy in that house of creativity and the muse, including your ability to be an entrepreneur. So look for big shifts in that energy as well. And lastly, children. If you've been having a really difficult time with any of your children, especially it involves finances and children, or the way you can communicate and speak to a child, that is going to shift and transform into something much more positive over the course of the next 6 months. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. In the sky, you've got this full moon in the sign of you. This is your yearly full moon. In November last year, on the 13th, you planted new seeds, Scorpio. You planted new seeds of beginning how you would like your life to look. And now it's coming to a fulfillment and illumination. And the illumination is giving you insights and revelations to take this further, to really bring it to either a fullness or an ending if you need to. Mars is the lunation Lord, and he happens to be in your 5th house of joy, enjoyment, creativity, art projects, creative projects, entrepreneurial stuff, romance, love, and sexuality. So all of that is to say, if you have been looking for love, and now Mars is flowing to you from the house of romantic love, some of you single Scorpios could find love. If you are looking for, more creativity or entrepreneurial success, you could have that as well over the next 6 months. Now, we also do want to mention that you have some interesting developments with the moon's temple being occupied by the Vestal flame. Some of you might come into a real dedication or devotion to some spiritual path or some spiritual belief, or you may come into some kind of sort of dedicated relationship to higher education or book publishing endeavors, and you're really in a devotional space around that. Juno is about commitment and agreements to people usually, and she's up in your 11th house of elder siblings or friends as allies and benefactors, and you may make some commitments to some of these people, but it may involve 9th house matters. And so who knows, commitments to travel to foreign shores, or 9th house is churches and religious settings, or the very much a wedding signature, Juno and the Vestal flame, showing some of you may encounter a wedding, maybe yours, over the next 6 months. And if you had hard times in your home, like, I don't know, a mold problem, I don't know, or, things are difficult in the home, you've had hardship around property, land, home, and real estate matters, or your private life has been feeling challenged, you're having a transformational Plutonian happy ending after times of difficulty that this moon wants to spark for you over the course of the 6 months as the moon witnesses this Pluto and this ops moment in time, transforming this part of the sky. All right, bringing you more joy as well at home or in the home. All right, Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign, having this this full moon in Scorpio on April 23rd, you want to go back to November 13th. That's when a new seed was planted. And that's in a very subtle place of your, either it could be foreign travel and foreign shores and foreign business, 12th house, of course, prisons, insane asylums and hospitals. And you may have been having a hard time in those environments. Who wouldn't be in a prison? But it's not a hard time, but that's where you planted a new seed. You planted a new seed there last November. But this is also your sort of spiritual stuff, right? This is like, your dreams at night, your meditations, your deep soul insights, your past lives, your karmatic stuff. So there's a deep sort of spiritual energy here. And if you've been trying to quit anything like a substance abuse, this is also that part of the sky. So addictions and stuff. So you've been planting seeds last November, and now we're coming to a completion or illumination around those matters. Mars is the lord of the full moon and witnesses it from the fourth house. Some of you can cut away from self-undoing addictions and patterns of habits that come from your childhood, come from your family of origin, or discover things about cutting away from your home. That sounds crazy, but moving from home, changing home, traveling far from home, they can really help you heal some self-undoing, especially if it involves mother stories, really. And this is the house of the mother, and it flows to the moon, which is the mother. So mother challenges healed. I do not know what to say, but the Vestal flame in the 8th house can increase your fire for money, your devotion to your earnings and assets, and the money that you're able to create in non-directly earned ways. And Juno says agreements and contracts with somebody that may be in a career and work environment, and you may make an agreement or contract in a work or career environment, potentially with somebody from a foreign shore than you, that is going to light a bit of a bonfire underneath your chunky money house, where your prosperity and unearned income can increase, like a sign-on bonus, or something like that. Now, you also could say that if you've been going through difficult times with a sibling, third house matters, and uncle, cousin, niece, or your neighbors and neighborhood environment, or a childhood friend, those things can turn around in a deeply transformative way over the course of the next 6 months, as the moon is in a square to that Pluto Ops asteroid energy, and indicating if there's such a transformation, it's coming out of a deep soul work level of the 12th house. And if you really don't like your neighbors and neighborhood, and there's this big transformational change kicking up a storm here, there may be a desire to home yourself in another country, at least for a while, to get a change of pace and find some kind of resolution to the hardship in the neighborhood or the local environment. If you have an online business and it's been going unwell, this could be a turning point in that part of the chart, and you may begin to generate revenue from far off and foreign shores and lands in the next 6 months. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. No, Capricorn. It just jumped ahead on me. Sorry, guys. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. Go back to last November 13th or so, and the couple weeks that followed. What seeds were you planting of some new beginning in your Scorpio sky, which is your 11th house of allies and friends who want to help you, like a big sister, big brother, whether literally or as if they treat you like a little sis or little bro, and they want to help you out. This is also your dreams and wishes and goals for your life, as well as gains from your career, specifically salary and money that you derive from the 10th house activities. Therefore, you have tried to bring something new to that part of the sky last fall, and it could come to fullness, completion, or fulfillment or illumination at this next 6-month window of time. This is a moon that is run by Mars himself, the Lord of the Moon, and he happens to be in the 3rd house of also siblings, also short distance travel, also things to do with the online world. And there can be some turning points with people from that 3rd house environment. But Mars likes to travel when he's in the 3rd house, could indicate travel opportunities connected to some financial work opportunity, or travel opportunities with friends, or travel opportunities coming up in the next 6 months that are quite important in helping you fulfill a larger goal or dream that you have on your 10-year or 5-year plan. Sibling stuff with Mars could indicate a turning point change in a relationship with a sibling over the course of the next 6 months. The moon is flowing to the Vestal flame in the house of your marriage partnerships, business partnerships, and legal contracts. And there is looking like either a new business contract for some kind of career gain or some kind of vow or sacred agreements going on, a dedication, not a vow. Well, we make vows in the seventh house, and the sacred quality is the Vestal flame. So sacred vows can be emerging for some of you in existing relationships, especially when we see Juno, the goddess of marriage, in the house of third marriages, but also the house of foreign countries. Some of you may be making some kind of agreements around business or love and vows around business and love and foreign countries. So that can be everything from agreements to move in, to get a marriage partnership going in another country or with a foreigner, all the way to some business agreements from foreign places and foreign people over the next 6 months. Now, if you've been feeling like you're challenged and there's been times of difficulty or hardship going on with Pluto in your second house, where it's about your money, especially your assets, like your resources, your savings, then this is going to be transformed, and there's going to be a happy ending after a time of financial difficulty. And that happy ending after a time of financial difficulty does have a connection to that moon in Scorpio. And that moon in Scorpio who squares it says, we're going to find a time of happy endings after difficulty. Now, honestly, not everyone, but you, Jupiter Uranus can be a lottery win in your fifth house. And this is the moon reflecting that in the house of your goals, wishes, and dreams. So some of you could win money, casino, lottery, some unexpected good financial fortune. But however it is, we don't know for sure. It is happy endings after a time of difficulty because of this. And with Saturn in Mars in your third house, some of the happy endings and financial difficulty can come through siblings or in things that are going on in the local neighborhood. Aquarius, this is Mercury retrograde, right? The software is running away without me. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising. Yes, yes, yes. I am one of you. What we have going on here is we have a Scorpio new moon. We seeded a new moon last November, becoming full this April 23rd. What new seeds did we plant in our career direction? Now, I'll give me as an example. It was last November that I planted some seeds around extricating myself from so many one-on-one readings and changed my prices and my schedule. But I'm taking it to a fulfillment or fuller, which means I'm yet again probably changing my prices, but also fuller. I'm also going to fulfill myself by not seeing clients June, July, August, and September. I love my clients, I really do, but I don't like the work. And that's crazy. I like the people, but the work can be challenging. I'm running out of steam to do all my other stuff. So look in your life, other Aquariuses, and ask yourself, is there a completion of something in your workspace, but you knew that you had to finish that thing up. You had to fulfill it anyway. You were seeing that in November. Are you going to see something new, an illumination of some new way of doing your career as well in the next 6 months? Now, the moon is being in a flow state to income, the god of Mars in the house of income and assets and resources and even savings. And so Mars is helping you pare away all that isn't useful, helping you get rid of the stuff that won't work for your greater financial goodness. And this moon says, yeah, and we're going to help it flow, money flow, right? Maybe through what we cut away, not what we add, money increase, fulfillment, fullness in the career house through changes in the earnings and possessions and savings structures. As an example, I cut away some kind of tax challenges. Mars is snipping here by changing myself to an incorporation. The moon is flowing to the Vestal flame in the house of pets, work, rental situations, and debts. Certainly, you could tend a sacred flame of fulfillment in a work situation. You are dedicated, devoted, and dutiful in a sacred priestess way to the work you're doing in the world, and it's fulfilling itself in money and financial flow. But this can also be a desire to fulfill yourself in a way that brings you better health, right? Better health measures, and also potentially pets. Some of you may be hankering like I am for a dog. How could you do that, right? Well, you would be feeling the sacred devotion to an animal, the yearning for an animal in the next 6 months. Because this Vestal flame is also flowing to Juno in the 8th house of chunky money, some of you may come into some chunky money agreements or vows, signing on the legal contractual line or with a marriage partner and their monies. And this is going to help enhance your particular ability to, let's say, pay off debts, find a perfect rental property. You're really lucky in rental property and also buying and selling real estate. Juno in the 8th house of mortgages and banks, Vestal flame of devotion in the house of debts and also rentals, but also animals and pets. And of course, the Jupiter Uranus sun energy in the 4th house, baking in a very exciting, sudden, unexpected, surprising, perfect timing opportunity to purchase a home or rent a new home or to get a pet, those kinds of things in the next 6 months. And lastly, if you've been feeling beleaguered in your physical body, in your mind, body, spirit complex, and the character of being an Aquarius rising, if it's felt like a trial and tribulation, especially with Pluto here, transformation of the difficulty and happy endings in your health, in your deportment, in your sense of psychological, emotional happiness is coming for us Aquariuses in the next 6 months. It does tie into the moon though, so it will be in a connection with our career and home objectives that we feel this turning point of wellness in our very being and happy endings after times of challenge. And first and always best, last and never least, is the Pisces folk. Yeah, poor time stamping sister. So a full moon in Scorpio. Well, you got to go back to last November, right? November 13th, new moon in Scorpio. It's about your spiritual belief, your philosophy, your churchy, religious stuff. It's about foreign land travel. It's about third marriage environments. It's about people that are like guides, counselors, teachers, and mentors to you. It's about situations to do with academics, foreign travel, and foreign lands, and book publishing. So this is an area where the moon was seated, something new in November last year. Now it's full here. It's full. And so something wants to happen around those themes I just itemized to come to completion or fruition. The moon is run by Mars, and you are making decisions, taking actions that are going to benefit you. The moon is flowing to you. It's good for your health. It might be also time to get more active physically, more decisive and more action oriented and more willful and more direct and more strong. Take an action, make a decision, go for it. These are the things that are fulfilling you in the next 6 months. Bringing fullness to the 9th house of the meaning of your life, your dharma, your sense of being on purpose. Now, some of you could travel abroad or to a country other than the one you currently reside in the next 6 months. Now, because of this moon, because you also have the idea that you have a Vestal flame of devotion in the 5th house, you may have a devotional trip to visit children. You might have a devotional connection to a child. You may have a devotional new romance emerge if you're single. One is very sort of sacred love. And with commitment, Juno, a devotional new relationship to a child with new commitments or agreements, or to a romantic partner with new commitments and agreements as well. I would say if you've been feeling like it's been a hard ass time and you've been having struggles in your 12th house of, I don't know, you could put the 12th house isolation, feeling isolated, feeling alone, lonely, feeling depressed or in a dungeon, feeling like your life has gotten away from you and you're falling away from yourself. Things are undoing. She's come undone. She's come undone. He's come undone. If you felt like that, it's been a problem, especially since last November. Well, this is turning around, and the new moon, full moon, is saying, no. We have transformational regeneration of a time of great difficulty. Could involve hospitals, illnesses, could have involved addictions and self-undoing. It could involve just a time of like Jobian travails. And now the lunation is lighting you up and saying, oh, no, we're squaring, but we're going to get rid of those problems because of ops. Transformation, regeneration, and renewal, and happy times after difficulty in this part of your sky. And you can also note that it is connected to 3rd house matters. So trips and travels can be especially involving foreign places, can be very regenerative for you. Some of you may end up 6 months from now wishing to home yourself in a different country. So be aware of that, maybe through travel to another country. Lots of luck and opportunity is coming to you, however, through travel, learning, education, and through siblings as a result of this part of your sky. And that bakes into the next 6 months. Well, thank you so much for listening to all of that today. I wish you guys all an amazing full moon. deeply transformative and evocative and intense energy for us all. Don't forget, the reason it's so intense is we have a square to Pluto. Okay, I got to dress myself here. And we're going to move now into the next video you're going to get after this one. What are you guys are getting this on a Thursday? My all signs videos will be coming out the Sunday after this video is released. I'll be dropping the 12 videos all on Sunday, so stay tuned for that. And then I'm off to Mexico, thank God, for a week, and I will probably be less busy here on YouTube. I'll try to front load stuff, but I need a vacation. Take care, everybody. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and thank you so much for listening.